What's up, guys? JP back at you once again, bringing you guys episode number 21 in my 2017 Shelf by Shelf series. This is a series in which I show you guys everything in my collection and talk about each title a little bit. I am a little bit sick right now, so excuse the sniffling and the coughing throughout the video. So let's continue along here. Where did we leave off? Right here with the classic Night of the Creeps. And Night of the Creeps is actually a movie that when I first seen it, I was like, you know what, that was really good. And then years had passed and I was like, oh, Night of the Creeps was pretty cool. But in my head, I thought of it as like a cheesy movie that was just a movie that I liked and not necessarily a good movie. Recently we did a podcast on all the movies that came out in 1986. Like, it literally feels like we covered them all, which we clearly didn't, but we watched a lot of movies for 1986. And man, Night of the Creeps like stood out so much out of that batch of films that came out, and it made it all, I think, all five of our lists on the show: Christian, Dave, me, Brandon, and Moods. And dude, Night of the Creeps is like really good. Like, I didn't know that it was that good. Well, I mean, in my head, I knew I had rated it good, but I just didn't think it was gonna live up to the previous expectations that I had, and it definitely did. Like, it is a damn solid horror film, and you would think it would be more cheesy than it actually is. I really like Night of the Creeps. Of course, Tommy motherfucking Atkins. After that, we have Night of the Demons. Solid film. I remember when I first watched this, it was back when I did the Netflix DVD by mail thing, and I was just like obsessed with getting movies that I'd never seen as a kid, and this one was one of the first ones that I grabbed off of that Netflix DVD by mail, and this was forever ago, and I remember just being like, dude, that was so fun. It's just a really, it's become one of my favorite horror films of all time, really, because it's a blast. After that, we have Night of the Demons 3. This is now out of print, so it's a little hard to get. I actually didn't hate this one, and I'd actually seen it when I was a kid. Oddly enough, I must have rented it as a kid and seen it, but totally forgot about it. A lot of people hate this one, but I didn't think it was too bad. After that, we have Night of the Demons, the remake. I actually really like this one too. I think it's pretty good, honestly. Not as good as the original, but definitely a solid remake. After that, we have 9 Lives, which I want to say this one came out in 2002 too, or they're around there. 2002, 2003, something like that. If it was for 2002, I don't think I got around to checking it out, but Paris Hilton, what do you expect, really? After that, we have Night of Horror Volume 1. This is a anthology film. It wasn't the greatest. It was okay. Then we have Night of the Living Dead. This is actually the only edition of Night of the Living Dead I own. Actually, I mean, besides the one that's right next to it. Don't look at that yet. This was the only edition that I had for a really long time, I guess. There's a million versions of Night of the Living Dead because it's a public domain movie, obviously. And I've had this in the collection forever. Check this out. Collector's edition from Excelsior Sire. Full-length feature film, biographies, direct scene access, interactive trivia, lobby poster, and movie credits. Those are all your special features. After that, we have the Night of the Living Dead, the colorized version, which I've never seen. I've actually never seen this, and I always wanted to give it a shot. I'm sure it looks weird and not good, but I just think it would be fun. After that, we have Day of the Dead, which is probably my favorite zombie film. That or Return of the Living Dead. They're both very, very dear to my heart. Day of the Dead is just amazing to me. I absolutely love it. Like, the story is so good. Romero just kills it with this one. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. I absolutely love Day of the Dead. Actually, this is supposed to be over here. And Night of the Living Dead, the remake, Tom Savini. It's been a while since I've watched this one. I remember loving it the first time I seen it, and then the second time I seen it, I didn't think it was as good. It's solid, but it's just not as good as the original. Yeah, it's just not. After that, we have Land of the Dead, which I've had this in the collection forever. I've only seen this a couple of times. Oh, it's the full screen edition? What the hell? I didn't even notice that. That's awful. That's not good, guys. I'm gonna have to get another copy of The Land of the Dead, I guess. I didn't even notice that was the full screen. See what you learn when you do these videos? But anyway, Land of the Dead, yeah, it's one that I think with time people have appreciated more and more. When it first came out, people didn't really like it at all, but with a lot of Romero's films, I think over time people begin to enjoy them more. I think Land of the Dead is a few years away from being considered, you know, at least a cult classic. After that, we have Night of the Living Dorks. I actually really like this movie. It's solid. I remember seeing a trailer for it when it came out back in the day, you know, back in whatever year this thing came out. It was forever ago, but I really always wanted to see it. When I would see that trailer, I'd be like, oh, that looks so cool. And I didn't see it until like years later. And I think, is this like a foreign film? It's like dubbed or something? I remember it being dubbed. I'm not sure though. After that, we have Night Stalker. I've never seen this film. It's based on a serial killer. It doesn't really look that good, guys, honestly. But I guess I'll get around to it eventually. This might have been a 2002 film as well that I didn't get to. After that, we have Nightmare on Elm Street. This is the Infinifilm edition. I own this on Blu-ray now, but I've always kind of went back to this version or the version in the box set. You know, it's just one of those titles that I absolutely love. I just truly appreciate the greatness of this movie, and that really didn't happen until like the last 2 times I watched it. I've actually watched it twice this year. I've always loved the movie. It's always been one of my favorite. I've always liked the sequels more. But truly watching it and truly paying attention to some of the scenes, it's so scary. It's such a genius concept. And I actually watched it earlier this year, and just fell in love with it, fell in love with it. And then when I seen it on 35mm this past month, I really just loved it, guys. Like, I just stood back and I was like, wow, dude. And it looked great on 35mm. It was really scratchy, but it was still very clear. One of my favorite film-going experiences. And after that, we have the old classic snapper case edition of Freddy's Dead. I remember, oh my god, my foot's asleep. Oh my god. I remember sitting on the floor, guys. I remember when I bought this, it was actually, oh man, it was like the early 2000s, and GameStop still sold DVDs, like used DVDs, and it was like $2 or something. And I went to buy it, and the guy, I just bought a video game, a mature rated video game. It was like, I don't remember what it was. And then I went back in the store a little later, after going to like FYE. I was at the mall. I went back in, and the guy would not sell it to me because it was an R-rated movie. And I was like, dude, like I lifted up the bag. I was like, I just bought a mature game in here. And he's like, yeah, the system tells us when we're supposed to ask, you know. And I was like, what? And I went and got a friend to buy it for me. But yeah, Freddy's Dead's pretty fun. I mean, it's a bad movie, but I actually like it. And then we have the holy grail of documentaries. This is Never Sleep Again, one of the greatest documentaries of all time. Absolutely love it. Poster's not inside because it's actually up there. Yeah, but yeah, this is a fantastic documentary. So glad to have the cool edition with the slipcover and all that stuff. Really good stuff there. Then we have Nightmares and Dreamscapes, based on the stories of Stephen King. I've actually never watched this, and it's one of those titles that I've always wanted to dig into. I don't really know what it is, if it's like a mini series or something. I really don't know, but it's pretty cool. After that, we have Nightmares in Red, White, and Blue. This is a cool documentary. This is actually a really good one. It's like the evolution of American horror, it says, which is pretty much what it is. It goes back to the early days of horror, and then kind of walks us through the slasher boom and you know, the atomic age and all that stuff, which really good documentary. If you've never seen it, definitely pick it up. It's pretty cool. After that, we have Nine Dead. This one was pretty cool, very Saw-like, you know, kind of a contained horror film, you know, Saw, sort of rip off, starring Melissa Joan Hart. 9 people wake up in a room. They have to figure out why they're there. Every like 20 minutes, a killer kills one of them, which means that that person can no longer give them information. Pretty cool stuff. A little predictable, but still very cool. Then we have The Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp. Pretty cool movie, really long. Roman Polanski. Really like this movie though. Then we have Night Tales, which is Flava Flav. I've never seen this. I guess it's like a, you know, hood type anthology, but I do love my hood horror, so I do have it in the collection. After that, we have Not Quite Hollywood. Fantastic documentary. This is a documentary on Ozploitation, Australian cinema. Pretty cool stuff. Then we have Jack Ketchum's The Offspring, which I totally forgot I owned. This is, I guess, the prequel to The Woman, I think. Yeah, I've actually seen this before, but it's been forever. After that, we have the One Missed Call trilogy, which I forgot I owned as well. These wouldn't be bad to jump into one time, you know. It's Takashi Miike. Heavy little set here. Only $5 for the set. Had to pick it up. And finally, for this part, guys, we have The Orphanage. Guillermo del Toro produced. I absolutely think this movie is amazing looking. I don't love it, though. People praise this movie like it's, you know, one of the greatest, you know, supernatural horror films ever, and to me it was just like, yeah, it's really good, but it's not that entertaining to me, honestly. It's just a good, well-made movie, but I'm not a huge fan of it, honestly. And that's it for this part, guys. See you guys in part number 22. Peace.